please give it up for your favorite Jason, cjgraham.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know how I feel about Kane, so I just have to always come out with that same perception. Hey, Kane who? How many people in this room got an autograph from me, honestly, with Kane's name on it, and I offered to sign it for free if you let me go right through the middle of his name? Where's the camera? I love you, Kane. Peace, bro. Thank you.
Of course, yes. This is, like I said, this is your show. So we're going to start with me asking you some questions. We will throw it to the audience, so start thinking of your questions now. For those of you who are really wanting to ask a question, but you're kind of nervous and you're not sure if you want to ask it, I promise you, you will regret it if you don't. So
Questions are $5 each. There's a jar right here for the front for the hostess with the mostess and a camera person.
I was going to say, can we get, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get started with how you were famously discovered playing Jason in an LA nightclub. Is that right? Talk about that for the people that have never heard that story.
So a lot of people always ask me, you know, kind of what's the secret to being an actor, or I want to be an actor, do you have any advice? Guys, sometimes it's just pure luck, period. You may be the best qualified, but you don't get the job. It does happen. All right. I was a general manager of a 15,000 square foot nightclub in Los Angeles. In itself, a great life. On Thursdays, I had a hypnotist come in. You know, Thursday's a little slow. So I either had salsa or a hypnotist. And Jack came in and did a show, and he had a company called Real Effects come shoot the VHS. Real Effects is the company, if you look it up, that did all the special effects for Part 4 with Ted White. So the subjects are on stage, and they're like, hey, we'll make a breakaway panel in the back, and we'll put CJ's big ass in Ted White's wardrobe. And I mean this sincerely, the rest is history, because when I broke through the screen, I frightened the subjects, the audience, and these guys from Real Effects just kept saying, we're going to cast you for Jason. And, you know, so lo and behold, hey, guess what? Now, to be fair, I was the second choice. So when you do see the film and you see the paintball scene, most people just think, well, he's wearing padding. I'm not quite that thick. Even today, I'm not that thick. Dude was a little thicker who got the part, who was a qualified stuntman. And when that daily came back, which is daily as the film comes back the next day or two so you can see it on screen, no music, no nothing, just, okay. They weren't really satisfied with the approach, the appearance. So guess what? Thursday, I got a phone call, and Tuesday, I'm in Covington, Georgia, shooting a movie.
The universe works in mysterious ways. So you have been credited with giving Jason a soldier-like movement with, you know, your military background. Thank you for your service. Was that something that you deliberately chose to do, or was it just your natural instincts and movement?
Unfortunately, it's my natural movement. I mean, for those of you that meet me, I try to sit up straight. You know, I don't do the man spread like Kane. You know, for two reasons. It's better on your back, but it just looks more proper in my opinion. And it's an opinion, like an ass. Everybody has one, right? So it's just an opinion. But no, I have a natural 30 inches all around posture when I walk. You know, in the military, I was 17, 52 years ago when I went in. And, you know, you put your shoulders back, you stand up straight, and you make a presentation when you walk into a room. So it was pretty natural for me at the time. It still is, unfortunately. But I think it's one of the things I was able to bring to, as people say, no pun intended, resurrect Jason. Because Part 4 wasn't bad. It was pretty good, actually. Part 5 was a little weak. And that's your opinions, not mine. And so they really needed a launching platform to get back on track. And then they messed up with Kane in Part 7, 8, 9, and X. Love you, Kane. You in the camera there, bro? Love you. But with all you know, goofing around, and you guys know I love Kane. I love bragging on him so bad, because how many people met Kane? Let's be honest. That's what I'm talking about, right? Do you know that Kane has been doing these shows for 38 years, give or take a day? I remember when he was doing shows before shows even existed. So I always credit him with being one of the OGs of conventions. where people started coming to conventions and meeting horror and other characters, which has now become everything from Comic-Con to anime to horror, tattoo, all into one big ball. So I do always give them credit. I mean, I rag on them, but I do love them.
We love Kane. Not as much as we love CJ, right?
Yeah.
We love you, Kane.
You guys know how to play the role.
So you also had a very successful career in the corporate world, casinos, hospitality. Did any of your employees in that world know your Jason background? And talk about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty quiet about it, but for 25 years I was in the casino industry, starting in about 91, 92. The last 9 years of that career, I was a chief operating officer, general manager of 2 different billion-dollar resorts. So I had, give or take, 2,500 employees at any given day, depending on how big the convention was going on, because you have additional staffing for those. I'm talking 300,000 square feet of gaming, 140 table games, 3,000 slot machines, etc. So people would know I did have a storage of photos in one of my desks, because employees would send a message to their supervisors, whatever, could I get a photo for my cousin, for myself, whatever. And it's not just an obligation, but it's an honor. So I had them right there in the drawer, and they'd send notes up to my office, and I'd sign them. And when I could, I would take them down myself and find a team member. I go through the whole casino every day. I'd spend about 30% of my time on the floor talking to my team. You get most information when you're accessible, rather behind closed doors or 2 closed doors, because we were up on the top floor. But I would go down and talk to dishwashers, for instance, a good example. And one dishwasher, I asked him what his goals were. He wanted to be a busser. And I said, well, if you applied for it, he didn't know how. Okay. Well, there's a big bulletin board when you walk through the door and you punch in. It's got all the job openings. So I called my VP, Robin, of HR. Hey, are you busy? Could you come over here to, I was in the cafe at the time, that dishwasher. And she came over and explained to him how to apply to get the next job. And 2 months later, I was in there having breakfast, and guess who popped up to, fill my water up? Yeah, he was in there doing his thing. So I always tried to be hands-on with my team members so they could excel and be promoted from within whenever possible.
So managing a casino, overseeing a, $700 million expansion, what's more stressful, handling that or being set on fire?
So for the record, everybody knows I did all my own stunts. I mean, I was 20 feet underwater, breathing off a regulator. What that means is I would signal for air, and the divers would come in and just stick it in my mouth, because it's pitch black, so I can't see anything. I just know I need air. Going through walls, being set on fire, all that stuff, for me was the very first time. I never, ever went to stunt school, ever. I didn't have that luxury or training professionalism as Kane, Steve Dash, Tony, and a few others had. It was my first time OJT, on the job training. And the only thing I knew is they kept paying me more money every time they set me on fire. And I didn't understand all that. It's like, if they don't fly you first class, they got to pay you the difference. If they can only put you in coach, they got to pay you the difference. I'm like, this is cool. I was like, I can get used to this. But I think running a casino is more stressful, because the thing about being set on fire, I didn't think it was a big deal. I guess it is a big deal. But at the time, I was 27, 28, only been out in the military half a dozen years. Thought I was a badass, I could kick Kane's ass, all that shit. You know what? I look back on it now. I've had people in the audience ask me, was that a breakaway chain? What? When you were underwater, was that a breakaway chain? No. Should it have been? I didn't think about that. It was a real chain screwed on my neck. I was 20 feet underwater. I was standing on 2 center blocks, for balance. And the chain just held me down. And after that question, and it was just a couple of years ago, I thought, I guess it should have been a breakaway chain. Because I would have been in deep poop if I had a signal and nobody came to get me, because I'm already out of breath. I got to unscrew it. I got to take my gloves off. I'm soaking wet, and I still got to get 20 feet up to the surface to get air. So some things you just don't think about. It's just a natural reaction. You think you're a badass, you know, nobody can hurt me. I can do all this. Yeah, that ain't necessarily true.
Yeah, it could go wrong very quickly, but we're glad that it didn't. So if you have questions, start going ahead and lining up at the mic. I see your faces, I see you thinking, but you're like too scared. He doesn't bite. I mean, he charges extra for that, but come on up. What's your question?
It's so cool to meet you in real life. Like, this is so epic. Who do you put on your Mount Rushmore of villains?
The 4 OGs, which would be Freddy the pedophile, Michael Myers with his Outback steak knife, Leatherface with his, you know, beautiful facelift, and Jason.
Nailed it. Thank you. That's pretty awesome.
That's Mount Rushmore for sure.
All
Next
right,
question.
knowing other people who played Jason, and you're walking into a role that you know other people have done, and I know you said you did the military kind of. Other than that, was there anything going through your mind going, I can't mess this up because this is an iconic role? And did that ever go through your mind as you're walking in there and kind of stun you that, oh my God, I am Jason?
Unfortunately, I didn't watch the prior ones. I'm a horror fan, but I'm of the Universal Studios black and white, which would be Mummy, Werewolf, Frankenstein, Dracula, OG4. So I didn't really get into that side of it, be it the Michael Myers, etc. I will tell you, the one with Linda Blair freaked me out. All right, that shit don't work with me. I have these paranormal folks that do these shows, and I see them at a convention. They go, "Hey, would you like to be a guest?" Frig no. You know, if I can't get my hands around and contain, I'm out of here. All you're gonna see is Jason's ass going out. Because if I can't see it, I don't deal with that crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I just look at it from the perspective of I had fun. I think I did a good job. I didn't look too into it to see what I was going to do. Tom McLaughlin, writer director, was real cool. He also liked Universal, so he kind of set me up to do the generics of it. But he did not want a zombie. He didn't want you to walk around do. He wanted some methodical thought. The first scene I did for informational purposes, very, very first scene I put the wardrobe on, is the scene where Jason walks into the profile from the side, the motorhome is behind it, he turns, looks at it, tilts his head and goes. Tom told me, do this, then push your lats out and go after the motorhome. After that, I just said, is there anything you want me to do? Just keep doing what you're doing. Anything else you want me to do? Just keep doing what you're doing. So it became somewhat natural and you know, a way of a pro forma, as I would call it in the casino industry, a return on the investment. It came out, I think, nicely. 40 years later,
Yep.
I'm hanging out with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Hi. Did you ever get hurt while filming?
You know, I get that question a lot. I don't recall, to be honest. You know, because you're in the moment. There's adrenaline at all times. I mean, I'm sure I have a few bruises because everybody was beating on me, but that was part of the job. And you know, in my opinion, you can't be a baby about it. You know, cry that he hit me with a rock too hard. No, I did not physically get hurt that I recall, which is a good thing. And when you talk to some of the other actors that are not just stuntmen, some of them don't call themselves stuntmen actors, they call themselves action actors. After all that, I mean, I'm sure that we all get hurt. It's just the adrenaline at the moment, you don't think about it, and there's, you know, no room for babies. Once you get beat up a little bit, you know, if your ankle hurts, put some tape on it. It's just like a football game. You gotta play.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, rub some dirt on it. That's my dad's philosophy.
Hello, my name is Bobby. What is it like in the Jason costume? Is it hot? Is it uncomfy? How does it feel?
Where'd you get the word uncomfy? Bobby. So here's the thing, guys. You know, I'll just put a little punch out there. At 5 o'clock, I'm going to be in full wardrobe doing photos with you at the photo op. So to give you an idea, it's hot, it's sweaty. The mask, the hood itself, is about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches thick prosthetics. So I have to wet my head down and stretch it to get it on because it's made for my head. And then you put your mask on. You got minimal eyesight. Peripheral vision goes to 0 because all you see is this. So if you would put your hand up like that right now. Look out. That's all you see. Close the other eye because you don't get to use the other eye. So this is your whole vision. I can't see this down here. There it is. So when you're doing that, it's hard because you have to have safety. All right. I got to make sure that I'm being very careful with the actors and actresses. They may be a different sensitivity than I, but at the same time, I got to be careful. Darcy's a good example. I was able to take the mask off when we did the fight in the motorhome. So what I did in the motorhome is physically picked her up, held her up in the air off the ground, and she just kicked the shit out of me. I mean, she really did. She'll tell you that. She goes, I beat the hell. She kicked me, whacked me, everything she could do. Going back to the before the injury, didn't feel nothing because you know you're in the moment. Anybody that ever gets a chance to put the wardrobe on, you know it's a sweaty mess. And for those of you that walk around in the cons with wardrobe, you know you last an hour and you got to get out of that thing because it's hot. You make the rounds, everybody wants to take a photo with you, right? Which is cool, you know. But after about an hour, you're like, this is friggin' ridiculous. I got to get out because you can't break character. It's unprofessional. So you that put wardrobes on, you know within an hour, it's like, oh, man, this is a sweaty mess. When I do wardrobe today at 5 o'clock, it'll last about 30-35 minutes, then I'll change back into my clothes. I bring deodorant, I bring water, I dump over my head, I put a hat on, because I'm a sweaty mess, and I go back to my table for whatever remaining time we have.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is that comfy enough for you, Bobby?
It's all right.
Next question.
Have you ever heard the word bomb diggity, Bobby? No, really, I'm being serious. My daughters are in their late 20s now, but when they were kids, everything was bomb diggity. So what's a bomb diggity, Sienna? Oh, that's cool, Dad. Okay, bomb diggity. So I'm cool. We there.
My name's Sid. Nice to meet you. Circling back to like the breakaway chains that you didn't have, unfortunately, during your filming, is there any other advances in the development of those kinds of props that you wish you had when you were filming that maybe could have been like life-saving back then as well? That like maybe you wouldn't have risked so much of your life doing that scene had you had it, or
Well, I'm dumb, so I still would have done it. I'm sure they could have put in a breakaway chain pretty simple, but I didn't think about it. The stagnant lake, they forgot to tell me about, you know, the leeches and the water moccasins. That wasn't part of our conversation until after the fact. Because when I went back to the shower and take everything off, the two girls for wardrobe wanted to check me out. I was thinking, okay. But there were leeches. I didn't know. You know, I haven't got no leech in my butt or whatever, but they know we got, okay, yeah. Well, what are we looking for? Leeches. I think that they took all precautions necessary, but that one probably if they had to redo it, they'd reboot it. They'd say, no, we got a breakaway chain. The good thing about going through the wall and going through the doors, I was able to do those in one take. The benefit of one take is money. All right, that's why we were able to add 3 kills at the end of the movie in Griffin Park in Los Angeles because there was leftover money in the budget. Because those were expensive setups to set up that whole wall and bust through it. You got to bust through it. You got to step down about a foot, keep your balance, and don't look goofy. If you take a look at the door, take a look next time and go, he does step to the left a little bit. You know, it's not like I'm going to fall, but you can tell my momentum went to the left a little bit after I went through the door.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Graham. Honored to meet you. Big fan, as we all are. Two questions in one. Kind of, what was your favorite scene to film, and/or favorite kill scene to film from the film?
So you must be a journalist because you always throw 3 questions into one question. So,
Well, a little bit of nervousness in there too.
no, it's all right. So what was the question again? I forgot already.
What was your favorite scene to film, and/or favorite kill scene from the
I just
film?
wanted to repeat it. My favorite scene was my first scene. That was real simple because people ask me, what's your favorite scene? Being the first time to put the wardrobe on and step into action, cool. I'll always remember that. But my favorite kill scene is the sheriff. For those of you that don't think about it, that's the one where he's bent over on his heels and we snap his back. There's 2 actors involved in that. They dug a hole straight down. They put one actor's butt and legs out and then put his head and torso down, and the other actor backed up to it, upward, and then they just pinned the coat, and then I just bent him over on the other person's back.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Movie magic.
Yeah, iconic.
Hello.
Hello.
We all know that for Jason Lives, Alice Cooper actually did the music for the movie, though. Was it true that you actually appeared in the music video for his for the movie, though? Actually, though, for his music video.
Yeah, I was very fortunate because I've had the pleasure of meeting Alice. And true story, my very first concert in my life was 1973. Yes, I'm old. Right? Alice Cooper. Very first time, I still remember the girl I took, Candy Price. You know, I had never been to a concert in my life, and it was Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare in Seattle, Washington. And so to get to work with him like I did, and I've done the photos with him that sometimes you see out there, and just the opportunity to meet him over the years, which I usually see him once every year and a half at a convention, maybe 2 years. I mean, what a pleasure. Guy is wonderful. I think he's about 45 years sober now, if I remember what we talked about. He's tight, you know, he knows what he's doing. He didn't do any shows last year. He was on the road the entire year with the Vampires and his own band and stuff. So I understand he's doing a couple this year.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Anybody else have questions? You're gonna change your mind. I know. I want to go back to something you said of your affinity for the Universal monsters. There's definitely a lot of Frankenstein DNA in Jason Lives. Was that deliberate? Was that part of the creative process, or is that something that just kind of coincidentally happened?
I think that coincidentally happened. People have to realize, here's a good example. Anybody ever seen Harry Potter? Yeah. All right, Harry Potter was done right. They all connect at the end to the next. Most people don't think that well. Star Wars is a good example. They did the first one, was it 74-ish? But there was no connectivity, so now they're all over the place trying to bring in characters to make additional Star Wars. I don't think people think about it. Whoever is the writer, director of their first film, they're only thinking about their film. You know, it's me, 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 me. I don't think they're thinking of, if this becomes a franchise, what will happen? Harry Potter's a good example. Franchise has just continued, made buku bucks. Did you hear that, Bobby? Buku? It's a term in the military. Buku, like I'm going back to the world. You know, you're going back to America. Anyway, so I really think they don't think about it beyond that. And I use Star Wars as a good example because they've done all these backup ones all over the place, but there's no connectivity. I think Jason was the first and foremost, you know, low budget, hey, and then all of a sudden it became weird. You know, you got this, what was he, 13-year-old Ari? He's in it for like 8 seconds, and it just became, ooh. And then part 3, The Mask came in, and The Mask is, I think, what launched it into, you know, worldwide franchise, because that mask is iconic. I'll give you an example. If I went to India right now, they've got about 1.4 billion folks in that country. Showed them a picture of Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise! Showed them a picture of me. Okay. Right? But if you've turned the picture around and showed them a picture of Jason Voorhees, Jason, Friday the 13th, they may not know me as an individual, but they know that character. So, I mean, how cool is that to be part of something historically that'll be iconic over the years? I mean, we did it mine 40 years ago. I mean, most of you in here weren't even born then, right? And those of you were barely a sperm cell in your dad. You know, so how cool is that to say, wow, you know, at 69, I'm like, wow, this is cool. I mean, what an honor.
Thank you. Yeah, you are obviously a very meaningful part of an iconic franchise. Is there another iconic franchise that you would love to be a part of?
Well, back in my day, a good example is because I'm a little oversized compared to Norm. Like, you know, I use Tom Cruise, he's 5'8"ish. Well, he's got platforms. 5'8"ish, so I'm abnormal. In my day, I really would have loved to just play any character of a monster form with prosthetics and all that stuff, like I did Hell Cop, Highway to Hell. I didn't mind 5 hours of makeup. I didn't care if you saw my face. I really didn't. I thought it was just having fun and they were paying me. So it would have been nice to be able to do all the characters. I mean, you know, like Tom, who had the pleasure of doing both Michael Myers and Jason. It'd been nice to be able to play those. I couldn't play Freddy because he was about the size of Tom Cruise, right? But the other characters I could have stepped up, Darth Vader, any of those, you know. most people, and I see a lot of the actors and actresses today from my era, and they go, man, if they'd asked me to put a hockey mask on, I told them no. And here you are just sitting at the table banking. I mean, they're like, but they want their faces to show. I was like, how much you gonna pay me? Oh yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, I got nothing going on. Yeah, I'll do. Psst, hello. In those days, just so you know, SAG, Screen Actors Guild, minimum was $1,500 a week. So that's what they paid me, $1,500 a week. I don't care if anybody knows, no big deal. But you still get residuals over the years. How goofy is that? I mean, when I got my first couple of residuals, they were kind of big, and I'm like, what is this for? And I had to call somebody and go, can I cash the check? I mean it was like, it wasn't chump change. And that's called a residual. Once it goes out to the product, you get a kickback. So those that spent it wisely did well. Those that blew it unwisely, okay.
Is there a role that you auditioned for that the fans would be surprised to hear you auditioned for?
I'm trying to think of the name of that porn movie.
I said surprise.
Mark Wahlberg, that one out of, yeah.
Boogie Nights. Yeah, that makes sense.
No,
That tracks.
you know, to be fair, I didn't go to Hollywood to be an actor. I went to LA to look at LAPD and the Sheriff's Department. So when I got the part, I was lucky. I went right back, came back, went into nightclubs again. I ran a private nightclub for Jackie Collins, Joan Collins' sister, down in Beverly Hills, called the Original Tramp of London. It was in the Beverly Center. You had to get through 2 locked doors to come in. What that means is it's members only. Stallone would come in and go to table 5 and drink his Cristal. Prince would come in at table 43 in the nightclub, drink his red wine. Tom Jones, that would come in, and of course everybody else in Hollywood that was somebody, directors, etc. And then I got the Highway to Hell gig by default because my face structure had the similarities to the person who originally had been set for it at $100,000 worth of makeup, prosthetics, and he had a long face like I did. And so he didn't want to do it because he didn't want his face to be shown. He's like, oh my God, they're going to see me and I don't like this. I don't like this mask. I don't like this. So he backed out and I stepped in, and guess what? I never went there. I did like 5 or 6 national commercials like AT&T and Colgate and Gatorade and yada yada. And then I knew I was too big to be an actor, realistically. I mean, if you're a normal sized human being, do you want to stand next to me? Doesn't work. No, I mean, really, doesn't work. So 91, I said, you know, I'm good. I went about 150 miles away back to Vegas and went back in the casino industry and, you know, stayed there until 10 years ago when I retired when I was 60. And I knew I could do conventions, meet the fans. It becomes so iconic that I could have fun with it. And for those of you who come by, you know I razz the poop out of y'all. You know, I'm just, because you can't do anything. I'm 69. You can't hit me. It's a felony. No, I'm serious. You didn't know that? Look it up. I swear to God, Camp Scouts. At 65, it's a felony. So if you hit me, you're going to have a felon rap. And then what? You lose 65% of the jobs in America? That ain't smart. So just shut up and buy me a beer. So life is good.
Well, as you know, horror fans are some of the most passionate and loyal, rabid fans.
You're bomb diggity.
How has being embraced by the horror community impacted your just outlook on life?
I will tell you, and those of you that I try to have a conversation with everybody at the table. You know, it's hard for me to just assign and push. And I always tell everybody, anybody that's active duty military or NG no-goes, National Guard, we call them no-goes. You got your ID, come up, I'll sign an autograph for you for free. I can't charge a soldier that's active duty or a no-go. I can't do it. So for me, I look at people and I probably go through $500-600 a show with soldiers that come up and they see my hat that says Vietnam era vet. And are you in the military? I said, well, obviously I was. Are you? Oh yeah, I'm with the Air Force, or I'm, those Navy guys that call themselves Marines. Any of those guys in here? Raise your hand. Don't be proud. Go ahead. You got any Marines in here? Uh-huh. Watch this. Y'all pay attention to what I'm going to do here, okay? This is how you take them out of the knees. So if I recall, in the right top corner of your paycheck, it said Department of... I don't want to hear you're in the men's department. I don't want to hear their Uber for you. And I will send you crayons and a color book for Christmas. Love you, bro.
That's what I love about military men.
We
They
hate
just
each other.
razz the
And
hell out of
I
every
wouldn't do it
branch.
without any of them, just, you know what I mean? That Coast Guard included, to be fair. No, Coast Guard, they're very valuable too. But I love to mess with the Marines. Me and Kane did a show, I don't know, maybe a year ago, and 2 years ago, and it was a 248-year anniversary, November, my man back there. And they were, all these Marines were in their blues. And I got this T-shirt, just so you know, and it says Army. And in medium letters says, even the Marines need heroes. And then it's got a big Marine logo. So you either see the word Army or the logo, but until you read the spine print, you're like, oh, that's cool. Oh. So I'd come in from the show with Kane, and he's sitting there, and he said, you gonna wear that in there? I go, yeah. You know, and I had my Vietnam era hat on because I'd done the photo op, so I was a little sweaty. I can't tell you how many of those blues came over and, you know, take a picture. And one young corporal, Strack Marine, you know, I said, yeah. I said, you know, we're just talking. She asked me a question. I said, hey. I said, you know, I appreciate you. And she was really, I said, teamwork. She goes, teamwork makes the dream work. And she walked away. I mean, smart Marine. Teamwork makes the dream work. Off she went. So what a way to close, but only a Marine would say something like that. In a good way. They're thinking. They're well trained.
You've had such a unique career trajectory, going from the military to Hollywood to the boardroom. Have you ever considered writing a personal memoir?
No. Number one, I can't write worth poop. My grammar sucks. But did you know I was with Chippendales?
That was my next question. But I didn't want to embarrass you. But let's
I don't
talk
care.
about that.
Well, you want to talk livelihood. I mean,
Yeah.
if you pull up cjgraham and you wear Chippendales, you'd be surprised what pops up.
You
1987.
would. Careful.
It was one of those things I kept under the table. When you're a casino executive, the last thing you want your team members to know you were a stripper. You know, so yeah, 87, Culver City.
Again, like I said, very unique
Yeah.
career trajectory.
It's been interesting, and again, I've been very lucky. I say that out loud because I may be okay at what I do or good at what I do, but sometimes you just, you know, you get lucky. Let's be honest. I've been promoted after people that I knew I was more qualified. It happens. One played golf with the boss. One dated the boss. I mean, things happen. Just get over it. You know, wait until it's your turn and lock and load, man. So I've seen it both come and go, but I've always been very fortunate. Worked hard. I remember working 2 jobs when I was younger. I was a dealer of, not Coke, a dealer at Circus in like 1981, Craps 21 Roulette. And then I worked part-time as a bouncer at a nightclub. It was great. Work in the nightclub, made my car payment, my car insurance, and I got to meet girls. There's a mythology here. Think about that. So you get to do things. You're out on the evening. So I got both, you know, the best of both worlds. And then I was in the casino industry, working swing shift 6 to 2. And in Nevada, things don't start happening till midnight.
Well, I say get yourself a ghostwriter and make that memoir happen, right? Like, I'd buy it.
I think we did.
All right, we only have time for a couple more questions, so don't miss out. If you have a question, come to them. Like, there you go. Come on up.
I was just curious, that lake shot at the end of the movie, when you're underwater, where was that actually shot?
It was shot. You guys remember, gosh, I know the guy, Rodney Dangerfield. You know who that is?
Rodney Dangerfield?
Dangerfield, thank you very much. He did a thing back to school.
Yeah.
At, I think it's UCLA Olympic pool where they shot that. It's the same Olympic 20-foot pool that we did that at in LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when we did all the water scenes, to give you an idea of the complications and movie magic, the water scene that I go down and go underwater, that's the swamp in Cummington. The scene that I'm 20 feet underwater is another location of water. There's another place where the water's about 6 feet in a pool area that we did. And then the fourth is where Jason's head gets smacked. That's Tom McLaughlin's mother and father's pool in LA.
Oh, okay, that's
So he went down to the meat market and got blood and guts and stuff. And, you know, I do remember this because his option was he had to promise mom and dad he'd clean the pool. No, really. So, I mean, it gives you 4 different bodies of water for those scenes.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. All right, next question.
Hey, thanks. Kind of a two-parter question, I guess. How did you? Not a reporter. Not a journalist. Not a journalist. Not a reporter. Sorry. No. All the recent litigation that just ended with the Friday the 13th franchise, did that affect you at all? And are you happy to see that resolved now that it's branching out again to fans and other mediums?
Well, I guess my question is it resolved? You know, because they both went in different ways.
Sure.
They both do pieces of it. I'm going to give you a chief operating officer's perspective. I look at a return on the investment. Qualify, quantify, simplify. I got 2 individuals that have a chance to make hundreds of millions of dollars, but they bicker. I just go ahead and shoot the movies. In fact, I'd shoot 2 or 3 of them, shelve them, put them on the wall, put everything in a trust for the first one, and whoever dies first loses. No, I'm being serious. Because there's a lot of money out there going to waste. The $1 billion franchise is because of you. The only people that are being hurt are you, and that's not fair. They wouldn't have this argument financially or business-wise if it hadn't been for the success of you. So you think about that logically. So you put 10 million up, you shoot 3 or 4 of them. It goes into a trust. You put one out every 18 months, drop another one. Guess what? You know, somebody's going to make a lot of money, but more importantly, you who put them in that position get the flavor to see the movie.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Hi there.
Hi.
Just wondering, do you have any tips for beating the slots?
No, so number one, if you go into any casino, roughly 50% of the slot floor is penny machines. For those of you that play penny machines, you're going to find out, number one, they hold 15%, highest hold on the floor. Number two, you don't pay pennies, you pay 90 or 180. That means you're a 90-cent or a $1.80 player. So why are you not playing a dollar machine that has about 4% hold? If you notice that your penny machines are going to be located at places where the buffet is or the showroom because you're in line, you have incremental revenue to the casino, 20, 40 bucks while your friend stands in line, you're going to go dump that machine. But if you look at that machine, it's probably a penny machine. Your easier machines to win off of, lower hold percentage, you could be in the front door. In the old days, when the coins are dropping, you get excited when you walk into a casino. There's a reason for that. But as you got deeper in the casino, the machines were tighter. Make sense? Now, if you remember the MGM when it opened in 93, 4, you got lost there. It was so big. You know, it was Wizard of Oz was because I was a pit boss there. The Wizard of Oz concept. People got in there and got lost. We had one section that was coin in, coin out, and then we had one section that we only used for ticket in, ticket out. Now they're all ticket in, ticket out. But after about a year, we closed that section because it didn't resonate with you as a consumer. So again, stay away from the penny machines unless you want to sit there in the machine that shakes. This is what they do, and they got all the neon light going, and half the time you don't know what you won because the arrows go like this, right? But you put in 90 cents, but you got 10 cents back. Not a good return on your investment. So if you're willing to put 90 cents or $1.80, and you might as well go find a dollar machine. Best odds in the house are always going to be video poker. But you have to play video poker premium, straightforward. There's no, ooh, I'm going to get 4 of a kind. No, you're going for the royal flush. You're playing poker, right?
Thank you.
Gamblers, did you take notes? I'm glad we got that on camera.
The casino executive came out.
I just wanted to say that the game that I like in casinos is 21 because I'm sort of a savant, and you know the rule is the house always wins. And I noticed that shirt, Punisher. Who's your favorite Punisher?
Me.
Oh.
And just so you know, if you're going to play blackjack, I'll give you a heads up. The new rule out there for the last 15 years is 6 to 5 pay. It's not 3 to 2 like it used to be. 6 to 5 holds 18%. Stay away from it. If you can still find a single deck, which is unlikely, that isn't a 6 to 5, the best odds are your double deck because at least you're down around 9%.
Oh.
And always remember 6, 7, 8's 21.
You're your favorite Punisher? You don't like the others, like Tom James?
It's like Kane Hodder, never heard of him.
Thank you for your
All right.
question.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna ask you one final question, then we're gonna get you back to your table. Out of all the conventions that you do, which I know are many, do you have a favorite fan encounter that's stuck with you over the years?
Well, I think it was, can I say the name of the place?
Absolutely.
I think it was the Days of the Dead. It was me and Steve Dash. You guys remember Steve? He died about 5-6 years ago. He lost his leg first, and then about a month later he passed. Did part 2. He and I were at a Days of the Dead, side by side. And this dude came up and wanted me to sign. I said, great, no problem. He took his leg off, put it up on the table, and I autographed it. Right? Now, my second one will be at this show, just for the record. The dude came up and asked me if he took his leg off, would I take the machete and appear to be slicing his leg off? True story. Are you in here, dude? No, true story. So I went ahead, he took his leg off, held it up like this, and then I took the machete and appeared to be slicing his leg off. So my fans are cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, CJ.